Warren Buffett once said, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." Keeping cash in the bank feels smart, safe, secure, but in reality, it's quietly losing value. Inflation eats away at it. Banks pay next to nothing in interest, and while your money sits idle, the wealthy are making theirs work. In today's video, we'll reveal 9 small but powerful monthly investments that will grow your wealth instead of letting it shrink. Number 1, an emergency fund, your financial safety net. Before building wealth, the first priority is stability. Life is unpredictable. Cars break down, medical bills show up, jobs disappear overnight. Without a financial cushion, even a small setback can lead to credit card debt, loans, or selling off investments at the worst time. That's where an emergency fund comes in. It's a safety net, making sure unexpected expenses don't turn into financial disasters. Many start with $1,000, which is enough to handle smaller emergencies. Unlike investments that grow over time, an emergency fund isn't about making money. It's about not losing money when things go wrong. That's why it's often kept in a high-yield savings account, where it earns some interest but stays easy to access. With that foundation in place, the next step is preparing for longer-term security. Number 2, 6 months of living expenses. An emergency fund covers the unexpected, but what happens when a crisis lasts longer than a few weeks? Job losses, medical issues, or economic downturns don't just stop overnight. That's why many aim to have 6 to 12 months worth of living expenses saved. This can give you some breathing room so you aren't forced to make fast and potentially bad financial decisions. With enough savings to cover rent, food, and bills for half a year, there's no need to panic when life throws a curveball. Since this money isn't meant to grow aggressively, it's usually kept in a high-yield savings account. It's not exciting, but it is needed so you can focus all your attention on the rest of the investments we will cover. Number 3, a low-cost index fund or ETFs. Once financial security is in place, the focus shifts to growing money over time. Historically, the stock market has been one of the most reliable ways to build wealth, and one of the simplest ways to do that is through index funds or ETFs. Both index funds and ETFs allow investors to own hundreds of stocks at once, reducing risk while still benefiting from long-term market growth. The S&P 500, which tracks 500 of the largest US companies, has delivered an average annual return of about 10% since its inception in 1957. That includes major downturns like the dot-com crash, the 2008 financial crisis, and the COVID-19 crash in 2020. Despite short-term drops, sometimes as bad as 30 to 50%, the long-term trend has always been up. For example, during 1802-2001, the worst one-year return for stocks was minus 38.6%. But that is a good thing since over a 20-year holding period, the index has always been profitable. This means such huge drops are the best opportunity to buy the stocks at a discount. In fact, since 1928, the S&P 500 has been positive in about 73% of years, proving that patience and consistency pay off. Instead of gambling on individual stocks, these funds make it easy to own a piece of the entire market. Number 4, high-yield savings accounts. High-yield savings accounts are designed to give you more bang for your buck. Unlike traditional savings accounts, HYSAs offer significantly higher interest rates, often ranging from 3% to 5%. This means your money grows faster just by sitting there. Imagine having $10,000 in a regular savings account earning 0.01% interest. After a year, you'd have made a whopping $1. A $10,000 high-yield savings account generating 4% would grow to $10,400. Simply choosing a better place to park your money will get you $399. Number 5, Treasury bonds and I-bonds. For those who are risk-averse, there are always some options that offer more stability, and that's where Treasury bonds and I-bonds come in. These are government-backed investments that provide steady returns while protecting money from inflation. Treasury bonds or T-bonds are essentially loans to the government. In exchange, investors receive fixed interest payments over time, making them a reliable source of passive income. They're considered one of the safest investments as they're backed by the US government, and they typically offer higher returns than a traditional savings account. For example, they currently provide returns of around 3.5% for 10-year bonds and 4.0% for 30-year bonds. So a $10,000 investment in a 30-year T-bond yields $400 annually. For those looking for inflation protection, I-bonds, inflation-protected savings bonds, are a popular option. Unlike regular bonds, I-bonds have interest rates that adjust with inflation, ensuring that money doesn't lose value over time. The current rate for I-bonds is 3.11%, but in 2022, it hit 9.62% during high inflation. If you invested $10,000 into I-bonds today, after 1 year, the investment would grow to $10,311, assuming there are no rate changes. If the average annual rate stays at 3.11% after 5 years, the investment would be around $11,659. These investments don't offer the high returns of stocks, but they serve an important role in a well-rounded financial plan. Number 6, gold and silver. Gold and silver have been used to protect wealth for centuries. Unlike cash, which loses value over time, these metals tend to hold their worth, especially during an economic crisis or uncertainty. When inflation rises, gold and silver often become more valuable, which is why wealthy people always keep some in their portfolios. History proves this. In the 1970s, when inflation in the US hit 13%, gold prices jumped over 500%, going from $35 an ounce to over $200. More recently, between 2021 and 2023, inflation surged again, and gold climbed from $1,800 to over $2,000 per ounce. Silver also saw big gains, rising 47% in 2020 alone, partly because it's used in electronics and solar panels. People invest in gold and silver in different ways. Some buy physical bars or coins and store them for the long haul. Others prefer ETFs like GLD or SLV. Some go for mining stocks, which can bring higher returns but also carry more risk. Gold and silver don't pay dividends like stocks or bonds, but they help protect money from losing value over time. Number 7, dividend stocks. While picking individual stocks may not be the best idea, especially for someone who is new to investing, there are some picks that can pay you along the way, no matter what. These are stocks from companies that share a part of their profits with investors by paying regular cash dividends. They do this as a sort of thank you for holding their shares and as an incentive to be an investor in their business. Big, stable companies like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, and Procter & Gamble have been paying dividends for decades, even during recessions. Let's take Coca-Cola as an example. For the sake of the example, let's say you invested $1,000 into the Coca-Cola stock at the very end of 2015 when the stock price was $32.30, adjusted for splits and dividend distribution. With the $1,000, you could have purchased 30.96 shares of KO. As of the latest available data, Coca-Cola's stock is priced at $70.215 USD per share. Therefore, the value of your shares would now be approximately $2,173.40. Summing all the paid out dividends, we get a total of $14.90 per share over 9 years. For your 30.96 shares, the total dividend income would be approximately $461.30. Combining capital appreciation and dividend income, your total return over the past decade would be approximately $1,634.70. A total return of 163.5%, which is quite remarkable. Number 8. REITs. Real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, but not everyone has the cash to buy a whole property. And even if they do, not everyone wants to deal with tenants, maintenance, or the headache of managing it all. That's where REITs or real estate investment trusts come in. They let people invest in real estate without actually owning a building. No down payments, no repairs, no property taxes. Just buy shares in a REIT and you're in. A REIT is basically a company that owns and rents out income-generating properties. Places like apartment complexes, shopping malls, office spaces, and warehouses. Instead of buying an entire property, investors just buy shares of the REIT, and in return, they get a cut of the rental income those properties generate. In a way, they work kind of like ETFs, but for real estate. The best part? REITs are required to pay out most of their profits as dividends, which is why they're a favorite for passive income. And with the rising real estate prices, both commercial and residential, it is hard to argue that REITs can do anything else than rise in price. Some of the biggest and most well-known REITs, like Realty Income, ticker symbol O, and Simon Property Group, ticker symbol SPG, have been paying consistent dividends for years. Let's say you want to earn $1,000 from REITs. You could buy 316 shares of Realty Income, which, with the current price of $58.5, comes to about $18,500. And since the current dividend yield of Realty Income is 5.4%, you would earn about $1,000 per year. Number 9. Invest in yourself. Do you think investing in stocks and real estate will give you the highest returns? You may be wrong. By far, the best investment you can make is in yourself. Buffett said in a 2019 interview, "A better skill set, more knowledge, and more experience can increase the earning potential far more than any normal stock market return." Learning high-income skills like coding, sales, marketing, or investing can open doors to better jobs, promotions, or even starting a business. And with an increased income, you can invest an even greater chunk each month. Many successful people like Tim Ferriss, Barbara Corcoran, Sophia Amoruso, and Gary Vaynerchuk all invested in themselves by developing specific skills that led to major success. Ferriss focused on mastering productivity, life optimization, and entrepreneurship, which he shared through his best-selling book, The 4-Hour Workweek, and his podcast. Corcoran started with just a $1,000 loan and learned the ins and outs of real estate, building the Corcoran Group into a $66 million business. Amoruso invested in marketing and branding, growing her eBay vintage store into Nasty Gal, a fashion retailer worth $350 million. Meanwhile, Vaynerchuk poured time into mastering digital marketing and social media, building his business, VaynerMedia, into a multi-million-dollar company. Education doesn't always mean going to college. Many people take online courses through Udemy or Coursera, for example, attend local workshops, or read business books to build skills that make them more valuable in the job market. We hope today's video was helpful to you. Tap the screen for more content like this. See you in the next one.